Welcome to Practice English Slowly.
Chapter 1. Aladdin and the City of Sand. In the heart of a great eastern city, there lived a young man named Aladdin. The city was full of life. Every morning, the sun rose slowly above the golden rooftops, and the streets filled with sound. People talked, laughed, and called to one another as they opened their shops and prepared for the day. The market was the busiest place of all. Bright colors surrounded it from every side: red apples, yellow spices, blue fabrics, and rows of shining metal lamps. The air smelled of warm bread, sweet fruit, and fresh tea. Aladdin walked through the market every day. He knew every street, every corner, and almost every familiar face. Yet, even though the city was rich and beautiful, Aladdin himself was poor. He lived in a small old house with his mother. The walls were thin and the roof leaked when it rained. Still, his mother always tried to stay hopeful. "Tomorrow will be better," she often said, and Aladdin wanted to believe her. Aladdin was not lazy, but life was difficult. Some days he helped merchants carry heavy goods. On other days he cleaned shops or ran small errands for coins. He earned just enough money to buy bread and rice for the evening. At night, Aladdin liked to sit outside their house and look up at the sky. The stars were bright and endless, and when he watched them, his mind felt free. In those quiet moments, he dreamed of a different life, a life where his mother did not worry about food or money, a life where he could choose his own future. "I want more than this," he often whispered to himself. One afternoon, while Aladdin was walking through the market, he noticed a man he had never seen before. The stranger was tall and well-dressed. His dark clothes looked expensive, and although he moved calmly, his eyes were sharp and watchful. The man stopped in front of Aladdin and studied him closely, as if he already knew him. "Young man," the stranger said, "what is your name?" "My name is Aladdin," he answered. The man smiled, but it was not a warm smile. It was careful and thin. "I have been looking for you," the stranger said. Aladdin felt confused. No one had ever looked for him before. "I knew your father many years ago," the man continued. "You look very much like him." Aladdin's heart began to beat faster. He remembered his father only a little, as he had died when Aladdin was still very young. "You have a strong spirit," the stranger said, "and a great future ahead of you." Aladdin felt something unfamiliar rise inside him, a mix of hope, fear, and curiosity. "There is a way for you to change your life," the man said quietly, "a place outside the city, full of secrets. If you help me, you will never be poor again." Aladdin's mind filled with questions. Was this man telling the truth, or was he dangerous? That evening, Aladdin walked home slowly. The noise of the market faded behind him as his thoughts grew heavier. He looked at his mother's tired face and felt a strong pull in his heart. What if this was his chance? As the sun disappeared behind the city walls, Aladdin made a quiet decision. Tomorrow, his life might change forever. He did not yet know that this decision would lead him to magic, danger, and a destiny greater than anything he had ever imagined. Chapter 2. The Stranger's Promise. The next morning, Aladdin woke up earlier than usual. The city was still quiet. The sun had just begun to rise, and soft light touched the rooftops. Aladdin sat on the edge of his bed and thought about the stranger's words. His heart felt heavy, but also excited. When he stepped outside, he saw the man waiting near the street corner. The stranger stood still, as if he had never moved since yesterday. "You came," the man said calmly. "Yes," Aladdin replied, "but I need to know the truth. What do you want from me?" The man looked around to make sure no one was listening. Then he spoke in a low voice. "My name is not important," he said. "What matters is that I know things others do not. I know about hidden places and forgotten magic." Magic. The word felt strange but powerful. The stranger led Aladdin through the narrow streets of the city and out through the eastern gate. Soon the houses disappeared behind them. Sand stretched in every direction, glowing under the morning sun. After a long walk, they reached a lonely place far from the road. Nothing seemed special about it, just rocks, sand, and silence. The stranger stopped. "This is the place," he said. Aladdin looked around in confusion. "There's nothing here." The man smiled again. This time his smile was cold. "You see with your eyes, but not with your mind." He raised his hands and whispered words Aladdin did not understand. The air began to shake slightly, and the ground trembled. Suddenly, the sand moved, opening slowly to reveal a dark stone entrance. Aladdin stepped back in shock. "What is this?" he asked. "A cave," the stranger answered, "a cave of wonders." Inside the entrance, faint golden light flickered. Aladdin felt both fear and curiosity pulling him forward. "I need you to go inside," the man said. "There is something there that belongs to me." Aladdin hesitated. "Why can't you go yourself?" The stranger's eyes darkened for a moment. "The cave will only open for one who is young, poor, and brave," he said. "That is you, Aladdin." Aladdin swallowed. His hands trembled slightly. "What do you want me to bring out?" he asked. "Only one thing," the man said slowly. "An old oil lamp, nothing else." "Nothing else?" Aladdin repeated. "Nothing," the stranger said firmly. "If you touch anything else, the cave will destroy you." The warning made Aladdin's chest tighten, but he nodded. The entrance opened wider, and warm air flowed out from inside the cave. The stranger handed Aladdin a simple ring. He said, "Wear this. It will protect you." Aladdin stepped into the cave. The light faded behind him, and the air grew still. The walls shimmered with gold and jewels. Coins covered the floor like sand. Precious stones sparkled in every direction. Aladdin had never seen such wealth, but he remembered the stranger's warning. He walked carefully, trying not to touch anything. Deep inside the cave, on a small stone platform, he saw the lamp. It was old and dusty, not beautiful at all. "That's it?" Aladdin whispered. He picked it up gently. As he turned to leave, his foot slipped on a pile of coins. His hand reached out to stop himself, touching a golden cup. In an instant, the cave shook violently. Rocks fell from the ceiling. The walls began to close in. "No!" Aladdin shouted. He ran toward the entrance, but the opening was shrinking. He threw the lamp up toward the light. "Help me!" he cried. The stranger caught the lamp, but did not help Aladdin. Instead, he stepped back. "You have failed," the man said coldly. "Stay there." The cave closed completely, leaving Aladdin trapped in darkness. Aladdin fell to the ground, his heart pounding. The silence pressed around him. Alone, trapped, afraid. In the darkness, he clenched his fists and felt the ring on his finger. Tears filled his eyes. "This was a mistake," he whispered. But somewhere deep in the darkness, something ancient was about to awaken.
Chapter 3. The Voice in the Darkness. Aladdin sat on the cold stone floor, breathing fast. The darkness around him felt thick and endless. He could not see his hands. He could not hear anything except his own breath and heartbeat. At first, panic filled his mind. "I'm trapped," he whispered. "I will never get out." He stood up and tried to find the walls, walking slowly, stretching his arms in front of him. The cave felt huge and empty. His voice echoed when he spoke, making him feel even more alone. Minutes passed, then more minutes. Time felt strange in the darkness. Aladdin's fear slowly turned into anger. "That man lied to me," he said out loud. "He used me." He kicked a stone in frustration and sat down again. His thoughts became heavy. He thought about his mother, about the city, about the life he thought was simple but safe. "I should never have trusted him," he said quietly. As he rubbed his hands together, he felt something cold and metal between his fingers. The ring. He looked at it, even though he could not see it clearly. "This useless ring," he sighed. Without thinking, he twisted it around his finger. Suddenly, a strong wind filled the cave. The air moved fast, and a bright light exploded in front of him. Aladdin fell back, covering his face. When he opened his eyes, the darkness was gone. In front of him stood a tall figure made of smoke and light. His body shimmered like silver clouds. His eyes glowed softly, and his voice was deep and calm. "I am the guardian of the ring," the figure said. "You have called me." Aladdin froze. Who are you?" he asked. "I am bound to this ring," the spirit replied. "I cannot grant wishes like the Great One, but I can help you." Aladdin's heart raced. "Help me get out of here," he said quickly. The spirit nodded. "With one condition," he said. "You must always use what you are given wisely." "I promise," Aladdin said without hesitation. The spirit raised his hand. The cave walls began to move again, but this time gently. A path of light appeared, leading upward. "Follow the light," the spirit said. Aladdin ran. His legs felt weak, but hope pushed him forward. The tunnel opened, and suddenly he was outside, lying on the sand under the open sky. He laughed and cried at the same time. "I'm free!" he whispered. The spirit's voice spoke one last time. "Remember, Aladdin, true power does not come from gold. It comes from choice." The light faded, and the spirit disappeared. Aladdin sat up and looked around. The stranger was gone. The desert was silent. Only the wind remained. Then Aladdin remembered the lamp. He looked down. It was still in his hands. The old dusty lamp felt warm now, almost alive. "This lamp," he said slowly, "is the reason for everything." Back at home, Aladdin told his mother nothing about the cave. He only said he had found an old lamp in the desert. "That thing?" his mother said, smiling. "It's very dirty." She took the lamp and began to clean it with a cloth. The moment she rubbed it, smoke burst into the room. The walls shook and the air filled with light. Aladdin jumped back. A loud laugh echoed around them. "Well, well," boomed a joyful voice, "after centuries of silence, I am free." A huge blue figure rose from the lamp, filling the room. His eyes sparkled, and his smile was wide and playful. "I am the genie of the lamp, and you, my friend, are my new master." Aladdin stared in disbelief. The impossible had become real, and his life was about to change forever. Chapter 4. The Prince from Nowhere. Aladdin did not sleep that night. He sat on the floor of the small room, watching the lamp as if it might suddenly speak again. His mother had fallen asleep, exhausted from fear and surprise. The genie was gone, back into the lamp, but his laughter still seemed to live in the air. Aladdin's mind was full of questions. "Is this real?" he whispered, "or am I dreaming?" Carefully, he touched the lamp again. Nothing happened. He rubbed it slowly. A soft cloud of smoke appeared, and then the genie rose again, smiling widely. "Good evening," the genie said, "or morning. Time works differently for me." Aladdin smiled, still unsure. "You said you serve me," Aladdin said. "What does that mean?" The genie crossed his arms playfully. "It means I can help you change your life, but I cannot change who you are inside. That part is up to you." Aladdin thought for a moment. "I don't want gold just to be rich," he said. "I want respect. I want a chance to live differently." The genie nodded slowly. "A wise answer," he said. "Then listen carefully." The genie explained the rules. The lamp could grant great help, but every choice had a cost. Short paths could lead to long problems. Aladdin listened closely. Then, quietly, he said, "There is someone, a princess. I saw her once in the market." The genie raised an eyebrow. "Ah, love, always the most dangerous wish." Aladdin remembered that day clearly. He had seen her walking through the market with guards, but she looked sad, not proud. Their eyes had met for just one moment. That moment stayed in his heart. "She deserves someone honest," Aladdin said, "not a liar." The genie smiled softly. "Then perhaps you should not pretend to be someone else." But Aladdin was silent. The next morning, the city woke to music, drums, and shouting voices. People rushed into the streets. Colorful banners appeared on every wall. "What's happening?" Aladdin asked a man running past. "The Sultan invites princes from all lands," the man shouted. "The princess must choose a husband." Aladdin's heart dropped. "I have no place there," he said quietly. That night he sat alone again. The lamp rested beside him. "I don't want to lose before I even try," he said at last. He rubbed the lamp. The genie appeared, calmer than before. "So," the genie said, "you've decided." "Yes," Aladdin replied. "Help me enter the palace, not as a king, just as someone worth listening to." The genie studied him. "Very well," he said,
But remember this, borrowed clothes do not make a true prince." The next day, the city gasped. A young man rode through the gates on a white horse. His clothes were simple but elegant. No gold covered him, no jewels blinded the eyes. Still, there was something strong and calm about him. Aladdin. People whispered. Guards watched him carefully. Inside the palace, the princess stood near a fountain. She was tired of proud smiles and empty words. One by one, princes spoke of power, land, and riches. Then Aladdin stepped forward. He bowed politely. "I bring no kingdom," he said, "only my story." The room grew quiet. He spoke of the city, the market, his mother, and the people who work every day without praise. He spoke honestly, without fear. The princess listened closely. For the first time that day, she smiled. Later, as the sun fell lower, she walked beside him in the garden. "You are different," she said. "I am only myself," Aladdin answered. She looked at him, curious and thoughtful. "Sometimes," she said, "that is more than enough." From the shadows, unseen eyes watched them. A dark figure stood far from the light, his hands tight with anger. "The lamp found a new master," the sorcerer whispered, "but not for long." The game had begun.
Chapter 5. The Price of Illusion. The city changed quickly after Aladdin's visit to the palace. People spoke his name in the streets. Some called him a prince. Others called him a mystery. Aladdin felt both proud and afraid. He walked carefully now, always watching his words, always thinking about who he was becoming. The princess often thought about him too. She remembered his calm voice, his honest eyes, and the way he spoke about simple people with respect. He did not try to impress her. He did not promise power or gold. That made him different. One afternoon, she asked her father, the Sultan, "May I see that young man again?" The Sultan looked surprised. "The one without a kingdom?" "Yes," she replied, "the one with a story." The Sultan agreed. Aladdin returned to the palace, nervous but hopeful. He walked through the great halls, feeling small under the high ceilings. When he saw the princess, his heart became steady again. They talked for hours, about books, about the city, about dreams. Aladdin felt something warm grow inside him. But that same night, the sorcerer moved. He stood in a dark room far from the city, speaking words older than stone. His mirror of smoke showed Aladdin clearly. "The boy thinks honesty will protect him," the sorcerer said softly. "He forgets the power of fear." The next morning, guards came to Aladdin's door. "You are summoned," they said, "at once." At the palace, the Sultan's face was heavy. "A man has spoken," the Sultan said. "He claims you are not who you say you are." The sorcerer stepped forward, dressed as a wise traveler. "This young man owns a powerful lamp," he said calmly, "a lamp that bends truth." The room fell silent. Aladdin's chest tightened. "I have never lied about my past," he said, "only about my future." The sorcerer smiled thinly. "Give me the lamp," he said. "If you are honest, you have nothing to fear." Aladdin looked at the princess. Her eyes searched his face. Slowly, he reached into his bag and held up the lamp. At that moment, a voice whispered inside him, "Short paths lead to long problems." Aladdin stopped.
"No," he said firmly. "Some things are earned, not taken." The sorcerer's eyes burned with rage. "So be it," he hissed.
Before anyone could stop him, he threw a powder on the ground. Smoke filled the room. When it cleared, the sorcerer was gone. That night, the city shook. Dark clouds covered the sky. The palace lights went out. Panic filled the streets. In the distance, a new tower rose from the ground, black and sharp, cutting into the sky. The genie appeared before Aladdin, serious and silent. "He has taken control," the genie said, "not of the lamp, but of fear." The princess was taken to the tower. The sultan was powerless. Aladdin stood alone in the ruined hall. "This is my fault," he whispered. The genie shook his head. "No," he said, "this is the moment that defines you." Aladdin clenched his fists. "I won't hide," he said. "I won't pretend. I'll face him as myself." The genie smiled, proud. "Then listen carefully," he said. "I can help you once more, but after this the lamp will sleep." Aladdin nodded. "Help me save her," he said, "not as a prince, as Aladdin." The night grew quiet, and the final path opened before him. Chapter 6. A Choice Greater Than Magic. The night was silent as Aladdin walked toward the dark tower. The streets were empty. Doors were closed. Fear lived in every shadow. Above him, the tower rose like a broken promise, tall and cold against the sky. Aladdin felt small, but his steps were steady. The genie walked beside him, quieter than ever. "This is as far as my power can guide you," the genie said. "From here, the choice is yours." Aladdin nodded. "Thank you," he said softly, "for everything." At the base of the tower, the air felt heavy. The doors opened by themselves. Inside, the sorcerer waited, smiling as if he had never doubted the ending. "You came without an army, without magic, very brave or very foolish. I came with truth, and that is enough." The sorcerer laughed. "Truth does not move mountains." "No, but it moves people." The princess stepped forward from the shadows. She was not afraid now. Her eyes were strong. "You built this tower with fear," Aladdin said. "But fear does not last forever." The sorcerer raised his hands. The walls shook. Wind filled the room. "You think love will save you?" he shouted. "You are nothing without the lamp." Aladdin took a deep breath. "You are right," he said calmly. "I am nothing special." The room grew quiet. "I am not a prince. I am not rich. I am not powerful," Aladdin continued. "But I choose who I become." The sorcerer hesitated. For the first time, doubt crossed his face. Aladdin reached into his bag and pulled out the lamp. The sorcerer's eyes lit with hunger. "Yes," he whispered, "give it to me." Aladdin looked at the lamp. He remembered the genie's laughter, the palace lights, the easy paths. Then he made his choice. He lifted the lamp and threw it to the ground. It shattered. Light exploded through the tower. The walls cracked. Wind rushed upward like a breath released after years of silence. The sorcerer screamed as his power faded. The tower began to fall, turning into dust and shadow. The genie appeared one last time, glowing softly.
"You have freed me," he said, "and yourself." The princess reached Aladdin's hand as the light faded. When the sun rose, the tower was gone. The city stood quiet, safe again. Days passed. The Sultan called Aladdin before the court. "You lost great power," the Sultan said. "Why?" Aladdin answered honestly, "Because no one should live above others, not even with magic." The Sultan studied him for a long moment. "Then you are the kind of man this city needs," he said. The princess smiled. Aladdin did not become a prince by magic. He became one by choice. He worked beside the people of the city. He listened. He learned. He built something real, something lasting. And sometimes, late in the evening, when the city lights were soft and warm, Aladdin would smile and remember a lamp that taught him the greatest lesson of all. True power is not what you wish for. It is what you choose to give up.